So I'm one of the community leaders for the Man Cave in Bedford. Originally went myself 3 years ago now.
Mhm.
Started going along to the meetings because I was suffering with anxiety and depression.
And I too was struggling with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression.
It's a safe space really for men to open up. I've felt the benefits from that. I definitely feel like a different person to when I was when I first walked in that door and realised that it's okay to talk.
What was it for you that kind of just made you go, no, do you know what? Enough's enough kind of thing. I need to actually take this step now.
Out of nowhere, on Instagram, the Bedford Man Cave posted up and said we're opening next week. If that's
Yeah.
not a sign, then I don't know what is.
When you're surrounded by people, you drink more and then you further compound the issue.
There's that famous saying where it's like, problem shared is a problem halved. And I think that's so true.
I've done this, and this week to combat it. You go, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try that out.
It's just about recognizing those feelings and dealing with them in different ways than you would have previously dealt with them,
Yeah.
and not sitting in it for so long.
And a lot of the guys do that. They'll share stuff about their children, they'll share stuff about their partners, their own personal life. And I think that's a big thing in itself. You don't realise if you're feeling good physically, the impact it does have.
You mentioned about postnatal depression.
Yeah.
Because I think this is something that we don't talk about when it comes to men at all.
We'll sit with you in the dark, right? Yeah, if we'll sit with you in the mud, yeah. But there's got to be a time where you got to get up.
Yeah.
You got to switch the light back on.
Hey, well, welcome, guys. John and Rob. How are you doing?
Good. Good,
Yeah?
I think. Yeah, I've had a bit of a rough week, but I'm happy to be here. To be fair. Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you want to go into why you've had a rough week or not really?
We are. Yeah, I'd just certain discussions that I've had outside of, just in general life and that kind of thing. It's just got feel like it's got on top of me this week.
Okay.
So yeah, but I have been looking forward to the. I've been really really apprehensive about doing it.
Really?
Yeah, like just I've never done it before, so I
Did
just
John bully you into it?
Pretty much.
little bit.
fully.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
kind of just
Yeah.
says, "I've had this conversation, and we're doing a podcast," and I'm like, "Okay, brilliant, yeah." So
Amazing. Well, well done.
Yeah.
Good for being here because it's good to step out your comfort zone.
yes,
Yeah, amazing. How are you doing, John? You okay?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Bit nervous today,
Yeah.
but as you say, it's like stepping out of the comfort zone. But
Yeah.
I'm sure as it goes on, I'll be
Don't
perfectly
worry, I'll make
fine.
you feel very at home. You'll be comfortable in like 2 minutes. So, do you want to give a little intro to yourselves? Just let the viewers and listeners know a little bit more about who you are, what you're about, where you're from. John, should we start with you?
Yeah, so I'm John from Bedford, originally from Luton. So I'm one of the community leaders for the Man Cave in Bedford. Originally went myself probably maybe even 3 years ago now. Started going along to the meetings because I was suffering with anxiety and depression and loneliness as well. And it took me a good few attempts to actually go along to the meeting. And eventually over time, got involved with the Man Cave, and now I think for the last year and a bit, been community leader for Bedford.
Amazing. Amazing. How about
Yeah.
you, Rob?
yeah. Similar story really. So I'm originally from Northampton. Moved around a bit. Ended up in Bedford as well. And I too was struggling with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. Had 2 kids, and kind of struggled with my second kid. And around that time, as John says, the Bedford Man Cave the Milton Keynes Man Cave were going for a while, and I'd been following them for ages. Always promising to go, but never quite did. And then I saw the post for the Bedford Man Cave, and I thought, right, that's the time to go. And yeah, similar story to John. I've been going all that time. Started to help out with certain bits, and then find ourselves as community leaders. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's incredible. I love how you guys kind of started just as going yourself for your own
Yeah.
reasons, and then to develop that journey and be leaders. That's a really great journey to have gone on.
Mm.
Do you guys want to just explain what the Man Cave is, if anyone that's not heard of it?
Yeah. So the Man Cave, I would say, it's a safe space really for men to open up. Certainly, I've felt the benefits from that. I definitely feel like a different person to when I was when I first walked in that door and realised that it's okay to talk because there is still the stigma around men that they don't want to talk. And I previously, years before that, I would always bottle it up, wait until it got to that critical point, and then you kind of you kind of lose yourself a bit. So there's a lot of community. I guess the key thing is community as well. I've made a lot of friendships. Again, Rob's become a very good friend as well through the man cave. There's a lot of good connection. So again, the guys have friendships in and out of the meetings.
Mhm.
We do events as well. So we've done a lot of fun events recently. So we've done stand-up paddleboarding. Did a charity walk, which we thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
25 miles. So,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Where did you do that? Just round Bedford?
Round
Around
Milton
Milton
Keynes.
Keynes.
So it's a
Okay, cool.
collaboration with the Milton Keynes group
Yeah,
to raise
cool.
money for the man cave. We do meals and things like that. So tonight, actually, we're going to Olive Tree in Bedford. So
Love
yeah,
that
there's-
restaurant. Nice choice.
yeah, we went there before
It's
as
quite
well.
popular, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's in a roundabout way, it's kind of that. But again, we're not a clinical service. You
Mhm.
know, we run the meeting from our own experiences, kind of tool sets we've picked up as we go along. But we do signpost if we feel that people need appropriate services to help them as well.
Amazing. So it's a safe space for men to get
Yeah.
together and just talk, basically, and
Yeah.
air what's going on, which
Yeah.
is so important, you know. And I'm so glad to hear that there's like so much more of that happening now. I think it's taken a while, hasn't it, for the world to kind of get to this place, definitely in this country anyway. So it's so nice to hear that there's actual action steps being taken for people to come together and do that.
Yeah.
So you both heard about the man cave a few years ago.
Mhm.
What was it? Because you both said that it took a minute for you to actually go.
Yeah.
So Rob, what was it for you that kind of just made you go, no, do you know what? Enough's enough kind of thing. I need to actually take this step now.
Yeah, so that it unfortunately got to a time when I was at my lowest. I would say, as John says, I think men bottle up emotions. They don't talk to reach out to people, feel like they can't, etc. And I was in the same boat. I just had my son, and I feel like the community nurse even said that she feels like I had postnatal depression or
Yeah.
some form of depression like that. And I just didn't believe it. And it got worse and worse essentially. And I had an argument with my wife. And I stormed out of the house. Just stormed out of the house, got in my car. And there wasn't a thought of I want to drive off the road, but there was certainly a thought of if I just so happen to have to swerve, or if I end up in a ditch, then I don't care, kind of thing.
Just on that, can I just
Yeah.
ask a question on that? So,
Yeah.
what would you say the difference is between those two thoughts? Because it's one thing, isn't it, to kind of have an intentional suicidal thought,
Mhm,
I want to drive off the road.
mhm.
But then what's the difference in having that feeling of, well, if it happens kind of thing? How would you kind of describe that difference,
Um,
if there is one?
yeah, I think it's a good question. I think there is. I would like to think there is a fine line between it. I think I came very close to um, actioning it, I would say, and I think it's the intent. So what I've spoken a lot about in my shares in a man cave that been battling with not necessarily not wanting to be here, but I don't want to be in this time. Like I don't want to feel what I'm feeling now, that kind of thing. So it didn't want to, like I say, I didn't want to not be here.
Yeah,
Um, but I didn't want to be in that moment.
sure.
That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was driving around quite irresponsibly, and I feel quite guilty about it, to be honest, because if something were to happen, it's really foolish. But I decided to pull over, and I spent in I'd drive past a lay-by actually where I pulled over sometimes just to reflect. But yeah, I sat there for about a good few hours, just
Really?
literally by myself. It was in the dark. I was like metaphorically staring into darkness.
Yeah.
But it was like late at night. I was crying to myself. Didn't think. Basically, just had all the thoughts of I'm having a negative effect on other people's lives. I'm having a net negative effect. So for all the good things I do, I'm doing more bad things. And so I basically was like, they would be better off if I wasn't here, essentially. Um, and I don't know what it was. I sat in the car, reflected, like I say, and I just thought, then I need to give myself a chance at something.
Mhm.
one more chance. I need to do something, because if I carry on, and I think one thing I want to say is um, education around what suicide looks like,
Mm,
suicidal ideology, that kind of thing, right?
mm,
Because I'd been through mental health first aid, and I kind of thought to myself then, I was like, if I don't do anything about it, these thoughts are going to get worse.
yeah.
And then out of nowhere, on Instagram, the Bedford Man Cave posted up and said
Mm,
we're opening next week, and I was like, if that's
yeah.
not a sign, then I don't know what is.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that was the turning point, 100%.
Yeah.
And then from there, I've just not looked back really. Yeah.
Wow, that's such a sign, isn't it? I'm listening to an audio at the moment called Signs
Mm,
by Tara Stewart. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. I think it's relatively new. And she's literally talking about like everything that you've just said. Like you're so deep in a certain thought or a certain feeling, and then all of a sudden something just smacks you in the face,
yeah.
positive or negative sometimes, and you know for certain.
Mm,
So sometimes you get signs and you're like, is that a sign? Is that not a
yeah.
sign? But then you get some signs where you're like, okay, no,
Yeah.
this is definitely for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow. And those thoughts that you were having when you were sat there in your car, were they thoughts which now you look back on and you can kind of think they were irrational,
Mm.
where were they coming from? Or was there evidence around you that was making you kind of feel that way?
Yeah, I think that's the danger of um getting into those episodes, right? In that
Mm,
your brain will, certainly my brain will search for evidence,
yeah.
and it's unrational thinking, but I was just thinking just this morning actually, about it, and I think, it's quite easy to say I could reach out to family, I could reach out to my dad or my
Hmm.
sisters or my best mate, but then your brain goes, I'm dealing with all of this stuff. I'm dealing with the stresses of, owning a house, work, kids, and
Hmm.
my mate is in the same boat, surely. So me adding to that is going to make him worse. So
Mm,
I don't want to reach out to him. Likewise, my sisters, I think, they're younger sisters. So I'm like, well, I'm meant to be the elder brother, the one who's got it all together, and they look up to me, kind of thing. So if I reach out to them, it's then like, what are they going to think about me, kind of thing. So
mm,
there's always like when you're in that place, it's scary to think that your brain will actually go, yes, look, there's evidence. People
yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
People don't care.
Mm,
And then you believe it.
hmm.
And that's the dangerous part, I think, is that yes, you will sit there and you'll believe it, and I think it then gets worse and worse. Um, Whereas being in the man cave, um, I know I've built up a load, early warning signs, for example.
Yeah.
Reaching out to people, like it's taken away that nobody cares and nobody wants to listen,
Yeah.
because it is the space where people want to listen.
Hmm.
They come for pretty much the same reason, mental health,
Hmm.
and we're all in the same boat, right? So
Hmm.
we say there's a WhatsApp group, and we always, people are like, oh, I don't know if I should put it in here or not, and it's like, yes,
Yeah.
put it in. This is the exact spot where
Uh-huh.
you should.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why, like I say, I haven't looked back. I still get low moments. Like I say, this week I felt quite low, but the difference is there's a group of people. It feels like there's a group of people behind me, not just one or
Yeah.
two people. There's a whole load of people
Uh-huh.
that with a moment's notice will, talk. They'll call, like you'll say you're feeling low. Somebody will call you straight away.
That's incredible.
Um, yeah. So
Yeah, and I think, people, you always have low moments in your
mm,
life, won't you? Like life happens and we're not superhuman. We're going to go through feelings of no
mm,
matter how positive you are, no matter how much work you've done on yourself or whatever, you're always going to have those
mhm,
moments
yeah,
now and then. Yes, they'll probably be less regular, but you're still going to have them and it's just about how you deal with them.
yeah.
That's what makes the difference. How about you, John? How did you end up over at the man cave? What was your story?
Um, I think for me, it was like that particular period. I was struggling a bit with like, I guess, anxiety aspect
Hmm.
massively. And I did go to the doctors a few times. When it got too bad, I wouldn't talk to family and friends. I wouldn't do
Hmm.
it. Like my mum and dad are fantastic. They're really, really supportive, but I just didn't feel I could similar to what Rob said, like I felt like it was a burden onto them,
Mm.
and same my brother and sister, like I didn't talk to them about it. Um, yeah, it's just I don't know. There's just this feeling that you can't really open up about it.
Mhm.
But it also in a few months prior to that, I had stopped drinking as well. Not, I'd like to think. I guess you look at it both ways. I wouldn't say it was an addiction, but it was a thing that whenever I went out, I wouldn't know my limit.
Mhm.
And then I found that was impacting my social interaction with friends, family, whatever it may be. That I was then not going to events because I'm like, oh, I know I'll end up getting drunk because I'd
Mm.
have one or two, and then you get the anxiety feeling like when you're surrounded by people, you drink more, and then you further compound the issue.
Yeah. A
So I was,
scary cycle to be in, isn't it?
yeah, and I was struggling with that aspect, and I was kind of hiding away from friends because, like in a UK culture, kind of lads culture, you do drink a lot, and that's the
Mhm.
kind of thing you do. You socialize, you meet up, you drink. Um, so yeah, I was feeling quite low, and I hadn't really known that many people around Bedford because I'm from Luton. I know it's not far, but didn't really know anyone. So I seen the group pop up, and I was like, oh, I'll go. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go. And I found every reason why not to go. And then
Yeah.
I did message one of the guys, Rick, who was actually one of the leaders at the time, and he was like, he convinced me to come along. And I remember just going to that meeting and just driving there. I was like, no, I'm going to turn around. It was just all these thoughts in your head. And yeah, I don't even know when I've got to the meeting, don't even know what I said, don't even know who I spoke to. It was all a
Yeah.
blur.
Yeah.
But I remember leaving, and it was a weird, like, I guess, rush. Like, I felt great after. And we say then, we've noticed this actually with so many different people, they always have the same thing is that when you come to your first meeting, you unload for that first time, you do get a massive rush of endorphins.
Mhm.
Um, but it's also to be mindful that you have that crash afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Like, you might not feel as great the next day, but I do think I now get that every week. Like, even if I'm feeling great, just to share what's going on in the week.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's in a
Yeah.
roundabout way why, yeah, how I got
Amazing.
there.
And do you go every week? Is it a weekly
Yeah,
community
so
thing?
it's every week on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Like me and Rob do try and go every week, but again, in the same thing that we have awareness for the guys, we need to be aware of ourselves. Like we don't want to overwhelm ourselves if we can't do a certain week because we've
Mhm.
got a lot going in our own lives. We need to be mindful for ourselves. So, but we generally make sure between me and Rob and the other community members that we have, we'll cover the meetings as well.
Yeah. Cool. I just want to touch on the anxiety stuff that you were
Mm.
talking about. So when did that kind of come into your life? Was that from early doors or was it more recent?
I think it probably was like my early 20s, but I don't think you're aware. Um, I think when I was growing up in like I don't think anyone was really aware of mental health being a thing.
Yeah.
So I think it was just one of those things. Oh, I don't feel great. Don't quite know why. Don't know what it is. Because I think everyone always had an image of what mental health is.
Mm.
So I think yeah, probably in my early 20s, and I think certainly like when you're at that stage in life, you go out all the time, you're drinking all the time, and then you spend a few days recovering and getting over the anxiety of it all.
Mhm.
So I don't really think I identified it.
Yeah.
Um, but I certainly think that when I got into my 30s, it became more. I became more self aware of what it is. And certainly then I was like noticing I was taking time off work,
Mhm.
and then I was speaking to doctors and things like that. Um, but in the nicest way, the doctors didn't really help, in my
Yeah.
view.
Mhm.
I didn't really find it helpful because the immediate reaction was go on to medication.
Mm.
My own personal belief is I'll try and avoid that because I've had
Mhm.
family history around people using the medication. It hasn't worked for them. And I know
Yeah.
it works for some people.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was a struggle to understand what it was. And then I think I still didn't fully understand until I went to the man cave. And I think that talking with some of the guys, like again, some really, really wise guys there that kind of know further deeper thoughts of how you feel. And when you sit there and listen to everyone, you're like, oh yeah, I feel like that. Is that
Mm.
what it is? And I think that's when I pinpointed my different feelings more
Yeah.
and definitely became more self-aware around that.
Yeah. I think just talking to people makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Mm,
There's that famous saying where it's like a problem shared is a problem halved.
mm,
And I think that's so true.
Yeah.
Like just by having one conversation with somebody, you could just feel a massive weight off of your shoulders. So imagine in that mental health space,
mm.
that must be having such a huge, huge impact.
Yeah.
How many people come to the Bedford one then? How big is your community? Do you know roughly?
On average, probably 12 to 15
Mm,
a week.
Yeah.
We've been up to 20 plus,
Yeah.
25 plus. Yeah, the Milton Keynes one that got massive. That got to about 60, 70 people in this
Wow.
one space.
Yeah.
it's kind of, I always think it's a bit of a weird, like it's a good and a bad thing. I always maintain that I'm like, you know, I wish that I wasn't here,
Mm.
because then all of these you know, mental health issues have gone away, but they're not. And so the numbers are a bit like, you know, the more we go up, it just cements the fact that places like this are needed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's so needed.
Mm,
It's so needed. Do you guys speak about stuff openly on social media and stuff as well about everything that's going on?
Um, yeah, I would
mm,
say so. I mean, we obviously anything again, just anything shared within the group, we obviously keep confidentially
mhm,
within the group. But I
Sure.
think certainly, I guess me and Rob as community leaders have it open up, and again, the other community leaders for the other groups have.
Hmm.
We have touched on experiences we come across with different people. So yeah, it's something that I think we've probably been more proactive on probably in the last year or
mm,
so, probably like
yeah.
putting it out there.
Yeah. I think the more that we shout about stuff like this, the
Mm,
better.
mm, yeah.
And it's hard, isn't it? Because like you said, everything is so confidential and you want to provide that safe space
Mm,
for people. But if there are people that are willing to kind of share their stories, just like
Mm,
you guys are doing today, there's always someone that's listening that's like, oh my God, I'm so glad that they said that,
yeah.
especially when it comes to men.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. So, how would you guys say life has changed since the man cave has come into your life in as much detail as possible?
So I think it, like John touched on then. Firstly, I think first of all, when you experience a space like the man cave, um, I think is one of the first times that one, men are, and yeah, that men are doing something for themselves,
Hmm.
right? I think a lot of the time there so many responsibilities, and I'm, you know, not taking away from anyone else. Everyone's got responsibilities, but I think kind of get bogged down in, you know, get home, get the kids sorted, go to work, pick up the kids from school, maybe, um, have dinner, go to
Hmm.
bed. And so when you come to that space, you kind of turning up for yourself. Then I think you then experience sitting with your feelings.
Mm.
I think not many people sit by themselves, or within a group, and experience their feelings. I think they sometimes keep busy. I think they, you know, you hear it all the time, like, oh, if I keep myself busy, I'm all right. And it's like,
Mm.
I feel to myself, you may be keeping busy to keep away from,
Yeah.
trying to keep away from what you're feeling, kind of thing.
Distraction.
Yeah, right. And so I think, you know, there are natural pauses in our shares. So we all get in a circle and we all like, right, the meeting's open, and then it's just down to people just to go, hi, my name's whatever, and I'm
Hmm.
feeling like this. But sometimes there's just natural pauses, and I say to people, use, like, sit in that time, in
Yeah.
that space, you know, use, it might be the first time that anyone has ever experienced sitting in silence, right?
Hmm.
Certainly for me, sometimes it is the first time that week that I have sat and just not done anything,
Yeah.
and just sat with my thoughts. So, and then as John says, sorry, the sharing of knowledge, it's not like a direct share, but it's when people talk about, you know, I've done this, I've done that, I've experienced
Mhm.
anxiety, and
Hmm.
I've, you know, I've done this, and this week to combat it. You go, yeah, actually, I feel like that. Yeah, and
Mm.
oh, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
Yeah.
try that out. Or like you sharing of like books or whatever. Like there's
Yeah.
so many, like, oh, I read this book and it said about doing this and that. You go, what was that book again?
Yeah.
So it's the way my life has changed, I would say, is picking up of those structures, I would say,
Hmm.
and using other people's structures and how they cope, and then go, oh, I'll see if that works for me.
Yeah.
And most of the time it does.
Yeah.
And you go, bloody hell, like you sit at home and um reflecting. I never reflected before, never
Hmm.
um labeled my feelings,
Hmm.
you know, like, oh, I'm feeling like this, or even what was I going to say, even accepting how you're feeling as well.
Uh-huh.
I think, like you said at the beginning, I think some people combat it and think, you know, I think people think their default should be happy all the time,
Yeah.
Mm.
and if you're not happy, then there's something wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, but actually, no, sometimes you are going to feel
Yeah.
different ranges of emotion, right? And then the last thing I would say is again, it's not a direct, like, pulling people out and going, you need to take some action.
Hmm.
but it's sitting with it, reflecting with it. But then there's also an element within the group that right, what are you doing about it? Yeah,
Accountability.
what are you doing about
Yeah.
it? What we'll sit with you. We'll sit with you in the dark, right?
Hmm.
If we'll sit with you in the mud, yeah. But there's got to be a time where you got to get up.
Yeah.
You got to switch the light back on,
Yeah.
right? And only you can do it. But there is an element within the group that, yeah, is accountability. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's whereas if I think of my life before the man cave, absolutely would not sit with my feelings. I wouldn't even know to
Mm.
reflect. I
Hmm.
just accept how I am and just, well, this is my life kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's changed a massive amount, I'd say. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Reflection is such an important
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think more and more people, again, are becoming more aware
Mhm.
of doing that, which is amazing.
Mm.
I just want to touch on that happiness thing that you were talking
Yeah.
about, how, everyone thinks, oh, I've got to be happy all the time.
Mm.
And I've spoken about this on the podcast before. Toxic positivity is such a
Yes.
massive, massive thing. And I think when it comes to mental health, you know, the quicker you can realize that you don't have to be happy all the
Mhm.
time, and it's actually not normal to be happy, 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 happy all the time,
Yeah.
the happier you will be. And not enough people talk about that, I don't
Mhm.
think. And I think whoever's got the power to kind of share that as much as possible, you're going to just change so many people's lives.
Yeah.
It's just about recognizing those feelings and, like we said earlier, dealing with them in different ways than you would have previously dealt with them,
Yeah.
and not sitting in it for so long.
Yeah.
Like accepting that you're feeling a bit shit,
Mhm.
and that's okay.
Mm.
Give yourself a day.
Mhm.
Tomorrow's a new day, rather than like, I need to get out of it straight away.
Yeah. We kind of talk about there's a thing. Oh well, I normally put out there about go and find your wins.
Uh-huh.
And make them dial them back and make them as small as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how you're feeling. If you're feeling really, really low,
Mm-hmm.
dial it right back, and just if it's getting out of bed,
Yeah.
take that as a win.
Yeah.
Start really, really small, but don't go and find your wins.
Yeah.
Don't expect them to come to you
Yeah.
and like, oh, actually, yeah, today I won the lottery. Like it's not going to happen. You have to go out and do that.
Yeah.
But also appreciate, you don't have to go and climb Everest.
No,
You
exactly.
literally just sometimes get out of bed, go have a shower.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And that's a
your
massive win
Yeah,
for that,
yeah,
nothing's small, is it? Getting out of bed, if you're feeling extremely depressed,
mhm,
getting out of bed is probably the
mm,
biggest win that
yeah,
you'll see, you
yeah.
know? I love that. Yeah, I'm here for all the wins as well. How about you, John? How would you say your life has changed since being part of the man cave?
I would say that it's what I touched on earlier. It's the self-awareness.
Mm.
I think certainly being more aware of how I'm feeling. Um, I think the communicating how I'm feeling as well. Um, as much as again, as much as we say it's about the mental health aspect, we do promote the guys to share your wins. If you're like, if there's something you're really happy about, talk about it in the group and kind of
Mm.
show like, right, talk about 2 years ago I was in this position, now I'm here. So it's always about sharing that as well. And I do the same. Like if I've had something happen at work or something in my personal life, I will
Hmm.
share that with the group.
Yeah.
Probably more so before my own friends and family to an aspect.
Yeah.
So it kind of shows the kind of community we do have.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys do that. They'll share stuff about their children, they'll share stuff about their partners, their own personal life. And I think that's a big thing in itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, there's definitely been a few tools that have helped me as well. And again, never would imagine myself doing these kind of things.
Yeah.
But like cold water therapy,
Uh-huh.
very big on that within the group. So
Yeah.
a lot of the guys have purchased pods for home
Oh,
to get
really?
into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cold showers, things like that. Obviously now we went to Cry Hub as well,
Yeah.
so a lot of the guys went there as well. So there's
Yeah.
physical and mental benefits from that as well.
Yeah.
I think for me it's to keep the kind of physical side going as well in
Uh-huh.
terms of where it's a walk. As Rob said, like for everyone there's different physical aspects that will help them, whether it's a walk, it could be the gym, it could be climbing Everest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's everyone's different thing.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel if I don't do those kind of things, I don't feel myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I might just repeat kind of
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things. Um,
But physical and mental health they all come under the same thing.
Oh
It's
yeah.
all health, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think I actually had my brother on the podcast a couple of months ago. He suffered quite a lot with his mental health in the
Mm.
past. So we had quite open conversation
mm,
about, I'll send you guys the link. You'd
Mm.
probably be interested in
mm,
hearing his story. And he was saying how, and I totally agree, when your physical health is down,
Mm.
your mental health is likely down
Mm.
as well, and vice versa. So you've got to look at it as both the same thing. And that's not to say you've got to run a marathon or
Exactly.
climb Everest, like you were saying, but just keeping that body moving and keeping your physical body healthy has such a huge impact on your mental health.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you then.
No. And I think it's a good point is that people, and even myself, you don't realize if you're feeling good physically, the impact it does have. Even the way, even your diet and things like that. Like it's taken me ages to find this out. Like even like the way I eat, like if I eat better, I feel better. And I think it's all linked, but you don't realize these things.
Yeah.
And probably again,
Massively.
it's the awareness that probably until I got into my 30s, I didn't realize all these things. I knew them 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Much different.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all part of life's journey, though, isn't it? You've got
Exactly,
to learn the
yeah.
lessons along the way.
I think other things as well, like it's definitely opened me up to different challenges that I've never done before. Like recently, meditation. Never did it in my life before, but I went along to a class, had a great time. I absolutely loved it. Like the 45 minutes was gone in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I never would envision myself in my 20s doing something like meditation, yoga, like all that kind of thing. And even at the weekend, we went to something called an event called Movement is Medicine.
Oh, did you go to that?
Yeah.
You know,
It was-
I had Adjua. She was here. She was my last guest on the podcast.
Oh,
It's
really?
not actually come out yet. It's coming out next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was talking.
Her
all about
energy is
movement medicine.
contagious.
Oh my god! Honestly, I was sat here and I was like, oh my god, I love you. She's brilliant.
But even that, like, I went along and we thought we were holding a stand, like, to talk about the man cave
Right.
and things. And then they were like, you know, you got to come in and kind of dance with us. And I was like, what?
That's funny.
And it was, I was like, oh, and especially when I stopped drinking. I think when you drink as well, like you dance, you be silly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you, and that's one of the things related to it that when I stopped drinking at events, you do struggle when you're sober with it.
Definitely at the start, you do.
Yeah. But I've become more comfortable with it. But even at the event, like, one of the guys, community members, Lack, was like, come on, we're going in. I'm going in there, everyone's kind of like going off. And like, close your eyes and just like listen to the music. There's no judgment, nothing. And do you know what? We danced for about an hour.
I love that.
And it's something I never would have done. So definitely the man caves opened me to different things like that. And I would say I definitely want to go back. I've talked to the guys about going there themselves. I did get a few funny looks last night when I brought it up, but
hasn't stopped talking about it. Genuinely hasn't. He sent me about 5 WhatsApp messages after going, you have to go do this thing. It's amazing. And then him and Lack have got this like little bromance going on now. I'm like, what type of dancing was it?
Yeah,
Like,
what are you actually doing?
Yeah.
No, but I love that. And it's, you know, I was speaking about this with Adjua on the podcast, and we were saying, you know, moving your body is a form of releasing.
Yeah.
So whatever you're suffering with, whether it's anxiety, depression, you're just feeling a bit shit. Maybe you're already feeling good, but you want to feel better. It will make you feel better.
Yeah.
You're literally moving parts of your body, which releases tension, releases stress.
it was really, really good. And I think,
You got any video footage?
yes.
Excellent.
Yeah, we
I'll be
did.
asking
Not
you to
of
do that.
no, sorry, not of us dancing, because we weren't allowed to video that.
That's a
I
shame.
don't know whether Movement is Medicine, they might have done it, but
Yeah,
they said to me,
hopefully.
close your eyes.
Yeah.
But it was really good. But also in
Yeah.
the same aspect, like, and it is a bit of a stigma kind of thing. Like, I did look around the room, there was a handful of men there. And it definitely was a bit of that. I was like looking around and it's all women dancing. And not that there was a bit of anxiety in me. I was like, oh, I'm going to look silly doing this, but actually really, really enjoyed it.
Good
So
for
yeah,
you.
it's opened up different avenues, experiences, things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, in a roundabout way, I think Man Cave's definitely helped me in all aspects of my life.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say.
That's amazing. And just like what you were just saying, you know, there was 5 or 6 men around, but it has to take that first couple of people to take that leap to do it. And, you know, you guys are leaders of the Man Cave, and you got to lead and you got to do it first, right? And people will follow. So you'll be next. You got to go
Yeah,
go dance with them next
I've already
time.
told him he's got to do it.
Yeah, got to find a different dance partner though. Lack's already taken, so find someone else.
Sean Harvey was DJing there, wasn't
Yes,
he?
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been on the podcast as well, and he shared all his story about his drinking. And when I was reading what you had sent me previously about drinking and stuff, it reminded me there are little bits of his story that was I could see within yours as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to touch as well on the community side of things that you were talking about a second ago. You know, you were saying that maybe you wouldn't go and speak to your friends and your family, but you're happy to go to the Man Cave and speak to them about it. And I think that's such a common thing. And I think it's so important to have a community, whether it's Man Cave, whether it's a separate group of people who you meet online or in a networking group or whatever, to just have that safe space with. And it's not a problem if that's not your friends and family.
Mm.
I think sometimes people feel the need to go to those people first because they're closest to them.
Yeah.
But actually, it can be a lot easier and you can feel a
Mm.
lot more comfortable when it's not people that you're close to.
Yeah.
And if that's going to help you, then
I,
let's do that.
I said this at the beginning, when I first started. I found it quite ironic that I'm sat in a room full of people that I have no idea who they
Yeah.
are, and I'm sharing my deepest,
Mm.
darkest thoughts and
Yeah.
feelings, and it is therapeutic. It
Yeah.
really is, and like I said, I touched on before. I think the space we've created is it's a non-judgmental space.
Mhm.
It's free from. It's nice that, so the structure again, you share, and then your share is kind of over and it goes on to the next person. So in a way, you don't get responses straight away, which I think is a good thing, because
Yeah.
I think sometimes people, what's the saying? Some people listen to answer rather than to understand,
Yeah.
right?
To actually hear it.
Yeah, so they sit, they listen, and then afterwards we encourage the connection, and you do get people coming up to you afterwards going, "Oh, what you said then, I definitely resonate with that." And then
Mhm.
I was talking to someone last night about kids, and uh, his kids getting bullied, my kids getting bullied, and we were talking about that kind of thing afterwards. And yeah, so just to create that, I think you don't get that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I don't think you get that feeling from family and friends.
Mhm.
I think you can just turn up to this space, say you can, some people come up, share, and then leave.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you know what, if that hour and hour and a half is all you need
Yeah.
for that week, then great.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to touch on that, I guess like I mean, we encourage people to share,
Mhm.
but some of the guys will just come along and just sit there.
Just listen.
They
Oh
just
yeah.
want they just want to listen,
Mm.
and sometimes that's what helps them.
Yeah.
And again, I guess to touch on the earlier point, we do have like, I mean, average 12 to 15 coming to the meetings, but what we do get is that people might not come every week, so it's maybe a different set of faces. But we do find that if people can't make the meetings, the community is still involved in WhatsApp as well.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
So probably, I mean, throughout the doors the whole time, there's definitely been in the hundreds, like, of people coming back
Oh
and
yeah.
forth.
Mhm.
And sometimes there is that natural progression. I don't know if you call it progression, but maybe out of the group, some people will just find, I don't need the group anymore, and they just kind of naturally
Mm.
leave.
Yeah.
But like, I think me and Rob, like, there's been a few that have been there since the very beginning. Some have started recently, so there's the community in as well. I think, like, for tonight, if we go for the meal, right? If you've seen all us together, there's all different ages,
Oh
walks
yeah.
of life, everything, and I
Yeah.
think that's like really unique in itself. Because you've seen us all
Yeah.
together, like, you wouldn't put that group together. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I've said that before. I've spoke to people that no, and again, not in a bad way, but I don't feel I would speak to certain people.
Mm.
I don't know, just
Yeah.
through social kind
Yeah.
of place. Like some people might go to different places and whatnot. So the interaction with the the amount of people that the range of people that turn up,
Mm.
and the interaction with people is I always find amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and to get like the meal tonight like that, I think,
Mm.
well, whenever we go out, the stand up paddleboarding, there's always just a group of guys just getting along. Like we just get
Yeah.
along, just like it's all like a
Mm.
bit of banter, a bit of like talking to each other, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And it's amazing how, I think my point is, it's amazing how just you get a random batch of guys together and they're just like, did you get on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so interesting. I love that as well. And I
Mm.
think, that's a really important point to say that, like you were just saying, you probably wouldn't come across these people
Mm.
in your day-to-day
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
but those people are there and you're,
Yeah.
you're there to cross your paths with them
Mhm.
for the same reason. And, just because you wouldn't maybe see them on a day-to-day basis regularly doesn't mean that
Mm.
you've not got a lot in common or you can help each other.
Yeah.
Rob, I wanted to just talk to you about something you mentioned at the start when we were talking about when you were first feeling in your like darkest places. And you mentioned about postnatal depression.
Yeah.
Because I think this is something that we don't talk about when it
No.
comes to men at all.
Yeah.
I've never had a conversation with a man where postnatal depression has been said, even though I may know that they have gone through those same feelings.
Yeah.
So I want to just talk about that a little bit,
Mhm.
if you're happy to talk about it.
Sure.
So it was with your second child,
Yeah.
you said?
Yeah.
How did that come about? What were the feelings that you were experiencing in that time?
So I still feel a little bit guilty about it. I'll be honest, but it was a it was a difficult pregnancy. Didn't didn't come out the way he should have come out. The doctors we've later found out that that they'd damaged his clavicle. Is it? Basically broke his bone.
Okay. Yeah.
So and I think he had colic. It was just it was. I naively thought so. Our daughter, for example, like completely different. Like just
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't hear a peep out of her. We were just like, yeah, we've mastered parenting. This is amazing. Let's have
Yeah.
another one, kind of thing. And
What's the age gap between the two?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So then, yeah, my son come along in a completely different, like just like I say, colic, crying all the time, and I didn't, and this is what I feel guilty about. I think is that I didn't have the same connection that I had with my daughter. The first I saw my daughter, and I was like just completely in love. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
love feels like.
Yeah.
Um, and then I struggled to find that connection with my son,
Mm-hmm.
and it wore away at me. And again, I didn't talk about it. I was like, I can't say that I'm not connecting with him, because that, like, what kind of dad doesn't connect with his kids? Like,
Mm-hmm. Even though it's quite a common thing.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
and I think this is like this is one area I think, I was unsure at the beginning when I was like, is it possible for men to get postnatal depression? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, but it is. And like you say, I think it's, and quite rightly, there are the mother needs massive support. Okay, she's gone through a lot, and the support is there for the mother, but I think there isn't that extra bit to go. It genuinely was only because of the community nurse that come out, and she, I was just sat there, and she out of the blue just said, "Oh, and so how are you feeling?" And as soon as she said that, I just burst into tears.
Really?
Yeah, and she asked me a few questions, and then she handed me a leaflet, and she was like, "I think you need to speak to someone."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it just never crossed my mind. And I think it was that. I think it was just I was very hands on with my daughter. I was very hands off with my son.
Uh-huh.
The crying and the whatever, but the my wife was amazing. She took over. From He cried for hours, absolutely
Really?
hours. Yeah, and I feel bad for him. Like, at first, we didn't even know that he had again, it was a nurse that came out. And he couldn't hold his arm up, and then when he went out of the scan, found a like crack in his bone, and we were like, bloody hell, like.
My God.
So yeah, it was a difficult. I have connected with him now.
Mm-hmm.
He is older. We have a great relationship,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, we're really close now, really close. But yeah, at the time, I just really struggled with, and I think as well, because I had I always maintain that I think maybe the age gap is a bit too short. Like, I always say to my wife, maybe if our daughter was at school
Mm-hmm.
and then we had a kid, then, because it's really difficult to split your time between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's only 2, right?
Yeah.
So she needs and wants and whatever else, and you play with her and that kind of stuff, and then but then you've got a baby,
Yeah.
right? And so you feel like, oh, well, my time with our daughter is being taken away because I have to look after my son,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And that played on me as well. So
I
yeah, I think
think
it was just
I
those
think it's
factors.
easy to kind of try and find reasons, right?
Mm,
Is the age gap too short? Should we have
yeah.
waited a bit longer? But actually, sometimes it's easier or better to just kind of say, well, actually, no, like it could have happened
Mm,
if we'd waited 5 years or
yeah.
10 years.
Yeah.
Like if you're feeling that way,
Yeah.
you're feeling that way. And just accepting that that's kind of where you're at and
Mm,
getting the help and understanding it, like we're saying, understanding, being aware
yeah.
rather than trying to find reasons or, justify how you're feeling.
Yeah.
It's sometimes better to just
Mm,
go, no, do you know what? This is just kind of where I'm at
yeah.
and it's okay,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think, upon reflection, again, if I had the structures in place back then, as John was saying, is about his anxiety and drinking, that,
Mm,
it would have been different.
mm,
But um, yeah, like I said, I'm just grateful that I've spent time just with my son,
Yeah.
taking him out. Like, he plays football now. I'm a big rugby fan, so there's a little bit of a
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to go play rugby, but no,
It's like, nope.
no, he loves it. He plays Saturday and Sunday. I'm like, yeah. No, but I love it. I absolutely look forward to taking him places, and
Yeah.
we talk about things in the car and stuff like that. So yeah, it just, I think where I found a bit of inspiration and a bit of purpose maybe
Mm-hmm.
is that I think my own relationship with my own dad
Mm-hmm.
is n- fractured is a bit of the wrong word, but it's not, it wasn't what I expected it would be, kind of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of found, like I say, inspiration maybe is the wrong word, but a cause to go, I can give this
Mm-hmm.
boy what I didn't have, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, turning up to all of his training sessions, and his, my dad didn't, hardly watch me play at all.
Yeah.
And that's a massive thing. Like, he
Yeah.
absolutely loves that I'm, at training. Oh, did you see that? Dad, I
Yeah.
just scored a free kick. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if I wasn't there, who'd he turn to, kind
Yeah.
of thing. So
Yeah.
it gave me a chance to, yeah, like I say, give him something that I feel like I didn't have.
Mm. They say when you have kids as well, it then opens up your eyes to your own
Mm.
relationship with
Oh
your own
yeah,
parents, doesn't
massively.
it, as well? So
Yeah,
that probably was quite a big thing as
yeah,
well
yeah.
with everything. Just to finish on that
Mm.
subject, when it was coming to the postnatal depressive thoughts, how did you was it just from that nurse giving you that leaflet and you did a bit of reading, or did you
Yeah.
kind of do any more research? Like, if anyone's listening and they're thinking, "Oh, is that what I've got?" or "What if that happens to me?" What would you kind of recommend for them?
Um, yeah, I would say it was through that nurse
Mhm.
that they gave me that leaflet. Can't remember what website that I went to, but I did do further research on it.
Yeah.
But I would say, like I say, it's hard because naturally you may feel low, but I
Mhm.
think if it's a prolonged period of time, and that if you are struggling to, yeah, don't be, like you said, I think don't feel guilty that you haven't quite felt. There's a load of people that will say, like, how much do you love him, kind of thing, and like, do you love him, like,
Yeah.
and I think those questions are like, yeah, of course I do,
Yeah.
of course, but so yeah,
It's
if
not
you're feeling
helpful,
like,
is
yeah,
it,
it's
that
not
question?
at all,
Yeah.
and family did know that I was struggling, and that was one of the questions that kept popping up, like, oh, they used to go, oh, do you love him now? Then I'm like, well, I loved him already.
Yeah.
It's not like I didn't. It's just, yeah, I just haven't connected with him. So going
Mhm.
back to your question, sorry, I think, yeah, if you're feeling disconnected, low, struggling with your mood for a period of time,
Mm.
then I would certainly research postnatal depression, or even speak to a GP or something. Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. Thank you. I just really wanted to get
yeah.
that out there because that's a topic which doesn't get spoken about really ever. Okay, so let's go back to the man cave. What's going on with the man cave now? Is there any events coming up? I know you're going for your dinner tonight.
Mhm.
Is that just a community
Yeah.
meetup kind of vibe?
Yeah, so on a monthly basis, we do try and do at least one event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because it was me and Rob were kind of like doing a lot of it, it was a lot on our own shoulders, and we did feel a bit like, are we neglecting the groups? We're not getting stuff set up, but it's hard to kind of find that balance. But now we have got more people within the community members helping us.
Uh-huh.
So we do the a monthly meal. We do try and implement something physical as well if we can. Again, just be mindful of all the members as well. That's why we do the meal as well, because some are not physically able to do some of them.
Uh-huh.
So coming up, I guess we've had a few people reach out about doing meditation sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a few on that. We've also obviously gonna follow up with movement as medicine as well to see what we can do there.
Yeah.
We're gonna go. Last year we went to the Peak District all together, so we're gonna do that
Nice.
again. Yeah, there's we had a meeting, funny enough, last night before our main meeting to kind of discuss different things. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of, I think, from Saturday as well. Something that I think's been lacking is that Man Cave is known in Milton Keynes, but not so much in Bedford. But I think it is
Mhm.
getting out there now. And again, thanks to like the Cryo Hub and different people that are kind of spreading the
Yeah.
word. I think on Saturday there was a lot of people that contacted me after about collaboration. So I've had people asking to assist with Men's Mental Health Month.
Mhm.
There's been various groups about grief, different bits out. So there's a lot of collaborations I want to take from Saturday that we're going to move forward
Yeah.
with, just to kind of get ourselves out and about more in Bedford, really.
Amazing. I'd be happy to host. I do obviously all my mindset
Mm.
coaching. So if I can help you
Yeah.
guys with anything, even if it's just like an online something,
Mm.
like a guided
Yeah,
meditation,
definitely.
journaling, like whatever,
Yeah.
you can have a think about it.
And I think the guys
Mm.
have definitely become, I think, similar to me, and I guess Rob might feel the same, but when you first go into like, what's this about meditation? What's this
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
yoga? All these kind of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But now I think the guys are a lot more open to it. Even
Yeah.
like, as you said, journaling and things.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't done it myself. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but so many of the guys do benefit from it.
Mm.
And even mindset stuff. Like,
Mhm.
and that's something we definitely focus on about. It's the what you can control. Just focus on what you can
Exactly.
control.
Yeah.
And just giving people just anything that will give people tools
Mm.
to combat what they're, like we say, sit, reflect, talk about, and then action.
Yeah.
What so it's the action bit that
Mm.
we want to get people involved with. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. If I can help in any way,
Yeah,
we'll have a
definitely.
chat
Be
after the
amazing. Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So for anyone that's listening, watching, and they're thinking, this man cave thing sounds like something that I potentially want to get involved in,
Mhm.
what do they need to do? What's the first steps?
So, I mean, we do have a website. So there's a website. There's all the socials as well. That does detail what we do. So they can have a look, and there's testimonials on there as well from various people. There are email addresses on there as well. So mine and Rob's email are on there from Bedford. But
Mm-hmm.
again, as we said, there are locations in Milton Keynes, Bletchley, Toaster, Northampton. I think that's all of it.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there are contacts for each of those because
Yeah.
again, might be nearer to different people. And then yeah, just or even if it's just come along to the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
As I
Mm.
say, we hold space on a Thursday at 7:30 at the Wixham's Town Hall,
Mm-hmm.
and that's every week. So
Amazing. So they can just rock up.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, it is daunting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all, everyone has said it. Right?
Yeah.
Everyone has said it,
Yeah.
and everyone has sat in a circle and they've been sweating, and they've been the first share is I have no idea what I just said,
Yeah.
but I just let it out, and it's like we honestly we are a welcoming bunch of guys.
Mm.
We kind of congregate downstairs first. So if you come to Wixham's, there'll be a group of guys. Just turn up.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be welcomed in, and then we'll take you through the format of the event as well. The meeting. There's free drinks and snacks as well. So
Lots of
come along from
biscuits.
that. Yeah,
Come,
yeah.
come for that, just if you want.
Shortbreads is a favorite. So
Yeah.
if you want to bring something along, then please do.
Yeah.
But cakes, treats, whatever. And then like I say, the format is we sit in a circle. You don't have to share. There is
Mm-hmm.
never a pressure at all to share.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go around in a circle. It's just the meeting is open. The floor is yours.
Yeah.
Have 5-10 minutes, depending on the size of the group. 5-10 minutes just to say you whatever, however you're feeling. We would encourage. We say this in the thing, but
Mm.
if it's your first time, just tell us why you've come along,
Yeah.
or how your week's been.
Yeah.
Right. Um, Go through the shares, and then we end with a bit of gratitude.
Yep.
That's been a really welcomed
Yeah.
thing. And then afterwards, we end the meeting, and then go back downstairs, and we kind of carry on the conversation down there. Really.
But I think to touch on that as well, it's like as much as we're focusing on mental health, I think even if people are not aware what's going on or they're feeling lonely, I think there's friendships to be had there. Like
Yeah.
one of the
Mm-hmm.
guys actually
Mhm.
said last night, I love coming here every week. And it's,
Mm.
I think when you get into adult life, it is harder to make friends.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of good friendships. So yeah, as much as you may not be aware you have mental health issues, but even if you're feeling lonely, just come
Mhm.
along. Because there are a lot of good friendships within the group.
I think
Yeah.
that's about. There was a stat. I was reading through stats before this thing. Like, I
Yeah.
want to check out those stats.
Yeah.
But you saying about loneliness, so there was a
Mm.
stat that got me was I can't remember the dates now, but in the past 10 years, loneliness. They asked males, do you have any like, do you feel like you have a close friend?
Mm.
And that raised basically men saying no raised to about 19%. That was a
Wow.
12% increase in the past 10 years. So loneliness, I think, is
Mm.
again, it's or all of it's a bit of a what's the word stigma around
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but you certainly men, you
Mm.
don't want to go, I feel lonely,
Mm.
right?
So
Yeah.
we even had
But
that conversation last night. Just to touch on is that one of the guys came to us last night asking about we're just talking generally like, oh, my wife may need support or whatever it may be, and we were just having a conversation. It really struck me is that there may not be as many women's mental health group, but there is a lot of activity based groups that women
Sure.
go along to,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't see men doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Just what we said last
Yeah.
night.
Clubs and
Yeah,
communities and yeah.
yeah,
so I said that to you
yeah,
last night, didn't I, Rob? I said like, oh, would like all the parents, the
yeah,
dads go along and do stuff together?
yeah.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
no.
there's something in my
Yeah.
daughter's school there. It was a new class,
Uh-huh.
All the mums got into a
Yeah.
mum chat and whatever. Should
Yeah.
we like, and they still chat now, to be fair, but should we go out? And they did. They had a good time, whatever. And then a dad suggested it.
Yeah.
No one turned up. No
Isn't
one
that
turned up, and
such a
it's
shame
like,
though? Like,
Mm,
why?
yeah.
Why not?
But I guarantee there are men, and this is why I do what I do for the man cave, right? Is
Mm.
because I guarantee, even just in Stewartby alone,
Mm-hmm.
there are hundreds of men sat in their front room
Yeah.
contemplating life,
Yeah.
and struggling, being alone. And yeah, I just want to put it out. Just come along.
Yeah.
Just come
mm,
along. Sit in within the group.
yeah,
There are many. I back up what
mm,
John's saying. There are many people that say, I speak more to people in this group now than I do my friends that I've had for 10
mm,
years
Mm-hmm.
plus. And
How amazing though for what
yeah,
you guys are doing. Like that just shows the effect of what it's doing.
yeah,
I think, yeah, and then on that point as well, I think when you hear the guys when we do the gratitude piece at the end,
yeah,
that it does make me feel like it does make me feel really nice inside.
Mm.
Like, and it's not why I do it, but it does
Mm-hmm.
give a sense of purpose. When you hear the guys saying,
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for this space, I'm so grateful for the community,
Mm.
it does make us realize what we're doing is a great thing.
mm,
Yeah.
Because there have been low points. Don't get me wrong. There were points where probably like 9 months ago,
yeah,
we did go for an ebb where we had a very low numbers for some
Mm-hmm.
reason. They just
mm,
dropped off completely,
Mm-hmm.
and we were contemplating, do we continue with this?
Yeah.
Because we were getting like 3 or 4 people turning up, and
Yeah.
we felt our energy was being taken
yeah,
going to meetings
Mm-hmm.
rather than anything else. And I'm glad that we did stick with it
Yeah.
because again, we started pushing out more, and we've had a lot of social prescribers putting people into the group, and it did pick back up, and we've got a community
Mm.
again. But yeah,
I think that's a really important point though, because
mm,
that's very reflective on just life in general. Like if you're
mm,
thinking about your mental health,
mm,
it's not always going to be getting better, getting better, getting
mhm,
better. There'll
yeah,
be a day where it drops back down,
mm,
yeah,
but you got to just keep going.
yeah,
And that's the same with, with
yeah,
your group.
and I would say as well, I wanted to put out there as well that don't let it get so bad
mm,
that it gets to the extreme. We
Mm.
spoke about this as leaders with the actual group leader, and about our own mental health, right?
Mm.
Don't like take the time now, right?
Mm.
Don't wait until it gets
Too
worse.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too bad, right? And I say the same thing. Like if people feel like they are struggling, they feel like they're alone, if they
Mm.
feel like they are overwhelmed, anything,
Mm.
come along. And on the plus, sorry, and the other thing I wanted to
mm,
say is on the flip side, again, Rick,
mm,
the old community leader, he if you feel like you are healed and
Mm-hmm.
you are living a positive life,
Mm-hmm.
I would still urge you to come along,
Yeah.
right?
mm,
Because he said to me, I got a bit better, and I said to him, I was like, "Oh, I don't want to share that I'm feeling good," and he's like, "But people need to hear that,
Yeah.
mm,
yeah, like people need to know that it does get
You're
better."
the evidence.
mm,
Yeah, you're literally you've been in a
Mm-hmm.
bad spot. You're now 6 months on, 8 months on, whatever, and you're in a
Mm-hmm.
really good spot. People need to know
mm,
that
Yeah.
that can happen. And
Yeah.
it was so I was like, yeah, it just so yeah. To those people there, I mean, again, there's never any pressure at all to come along. People's lives get in the way and whatever else, and they go off and do whatever they feel like they need
Mm.
to do. But I would also say we need that the positivity as
yeah,
well,
Yeah.
as well
100%.
as the lows and we want everything. We
Yeah,
want to hear about
that's so
everything. Yeah,
important.
yeah,
It really is. And that's what this podcast is all about.
mm,
Mm,
Every single person I've had on this podcast, including you guys, has been through the darkest time
mm,
in some
mm,
way, whether it's in their personal life, in their relationships, in business, whatever it might be, and they've come out the other end.
mhm,
And it's the evidence for people who are listening who might be going through that
mm,
exact same thing that
mm,
actually it's going to be okay.
mm,
mm,
And yeah, oh, just dropped my pen.
mm.
But yeah, you need to have both. You need to be able to see what's
Yeah.
possible. Is there anything about the man cave that we haven't spoken about, or about you guys individually, that you want to share before we wrap it up? Want to make sure we've covered everything.
I think there probably is something I want to touch on from,
Yeah.
I guess, my experience. So with the loneliness thing,
Yes.
and yeah, I think something that's helped me. So it's a running joke in the group about me and online dating. But like I've gone through these stages where I think before the group I would have stayed in bad relationships or
Mm.
chased things just because I was lonely,
Mhm.
just for that. But I think ever since going along to the man cave, I've learned my own self-worth. I've
Mm.
learned when things are not quite right.
Mhm.
And I definitely find now that, again, as much as we joke around and we laugh about it, but I've definitely noticed a difference in what I am willing and not willing to accept. And I
Yeah.
think we do see a lot of the men actually come into the group of that they're very unhappy in relationships, or, they're dating someone they know it's not quite right, but they don't want to be alone.
Yep.
And I think the key thing is that I've said when I do find someone is I want them to add value to my life, because
Yeah.
I've been in those situations where you're detracting from your own self, you lose yourself. So I think there was many, many chats I had at the very beginning when I was dating different people that, again, some of the community leaders previously have spoken to me, or even in shares, like, what are you getting from this? And
Mm.
it's being selfish as well, like not always saying yes. It's
Mhm.
all these little things that I think have helped me massively. And I despise online dating, but there's not much else out
I know
there.
it's hard these days.
Um,
Feel sorry for you single
yeah.
guys now. Got to rely on the apps.
Exactly. But it's definitely helped my mindset of it, and not chase, 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 just let things happen or
Yeah.
whatever. So I think even in that aspect, there has been men that have come in and had similar. And weirdly enough, they all talk to me like, "Oh, can you tell me about online dating?" Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You're the
But
guru. You're the
Yeah.
one.
Your
You-
success story might help everyone.
there hasn't been many yet.
It's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming.
But no, it's been something that's definitely helped me, because I would sit there and go, I must get in a relationship. I must. And I think people feel like that. They must get in a relationship. They
Yeah.
must be with someone.
Yeah.
But like even on the weekends, I think weekends are the hardest point. And we do find that in the group for the single men as well. Is that when they
Mhm.
struggle the most, and they may
Mhm.
seek that, I don't want to, I hate using the word, but they may seek that toxic relation because they're alone.
Because nothing out. They don't want to be on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's finding
Yeah.
those, and I think at the weekends, it's finding those positive things to do. Like, as I say,
Yeah.
with the man cave, like last weekend we had that, and then this weekend we got a meal. So we try
Mm.
and help the guys even with that aspect. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch on that. And I think
Yeah.
it's definitely helped me with the loneliness aspect.
Mm.
And do you know what? If not going to add value to my life, I'm okay being by myself. But it's
Yeah.
very, very hard to get to that point. Like,
Yeah.
very, very hard. And there are days I sit there and go, actually, no, maybe I should just get in a relationship because I'm alone. But you have that ups and downs.
Yeah.
So.
I need to put you in touch, not on a dating aspect, but I need to put you in touch with one of my friends. She in lockdown created a brand, I guess.
Mm,
And she called herself the loneliness coach.
mm,
Right.
And she's single.
mm,
She I just feel like both of you, all of you actually,
mhm.
there'll be some sort of synergy there, because
Yeah.
that's massive for women as well. Like
Mm.
everything you
Yeah,
were
yeah,
just
of
saying
course.
about men,
Mm.
I've got single female friends who say exactly the same
Yeah.
things. And they've been in, I used to be that person before I met
Mm.
my partner. And you put up with shit from people because you'd rather that
Yeah.
than be on your own, and you
Mhm.
don't know your self-worth. And then when you do, you then go, hang on a minute, I'm not putting up with that anymore.
Mm.
And you end up single. But
Yeah.
that's better.
Mm.
You're better off being alone and knowing your value and
Exactly.
knowing, what you're capable of and what you're worth, than putting up with a relationship that makes you feel like crap.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm gonna put you in touch. I'm actually seeing her tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a sign. Going back to our signs. I
There
was
you
like,
go.
we were
Yeah.
talking, I was like, you need to speak to my friend. Her name's Lena. I'll give her your Instagram, because
Okay.
I feel like there might be a community
I think definitely.
crossover somewhere there.
And again, like I think touching on the man cave aspect and the community thing, there's a lot of people happily married or have kids and stuff like that. But there's
Mhm.
also the single men as well. And I
Yeah.
think, as I said earlier, there's different synergies in the group. And I
Mm.
think to touch on the group, anyone that wants to come along, we have people come from all walks of life, as we said, or
Yeah.
suffering with different issues. We have people with addiction issues. We have
Yep.
people, loneliness kind of things. Rob talked about
Abuse.
anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
abuse,
Mhm.
Yeah.
anger, whatever it may be. And I'd encourage anyone, any of those kind of things. There's no one size fits all, but
No,
we
there's
have
not, yeah.
everyone come along from different things, and there may
Mm.
be some resonation or not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think more often than not, even if you don't share, there will be a resonation with something. A
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm.
Your stories might not be exactly the same,
Yeah.
but when people talk about how they feel or how it made them feel,
Yeah.
you go, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I've went through this, and it's made me feel like that.
Mhm.
But what I would say is, I was saying to John in this week, and I hope this comes across in the right way, right? But I honestly struggle. I thought, from the guests that you've had, I'm like, I shouldn't be on this podcast. Like,
Really?
I've not had. I don't feel like I've had the life to talk about and make a point of, or inspire somebody to come along, right?
That's so interesting.
I genuinely, I
From my
really
side.
struggled. Yeah,
Yeah.
really struggled. Around when
Yeah.
you sent those questions, I was like, I don't know what to put down here. I
Yeah.
genuinely, and what I would, my angle on it is, and what I wanted to, the final thing I wanted to say about relating to the cave is that I feel like I'm the average man, right? And I feel like I think the average man doesn't really. I don't think they want to accept or realize that they have a problem.
Mhm.
I was reading up on it again, and I do a lot of reading. I was reading up on it again on depression, and I think part of the, I think a big reason why there is an issue with men and suicide and depression, um, is that I simply think that men don't think they have an issue.
Yeah.
I think they think, when you think of depression,
Mm.
you think of somebody who can't get out of bed
Mhm.
or is just really under the weather, like really glum, really like, can't do
Mm.
anything, or with anxiety, it's a bit like, oh, the guy can't leave the house kind of thing. But
Yeah.
anxiety and depression manifest in so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't, I think they're like, oh, I'm all right. Yeah, my life is just my life, right? It is what it is. And it's like,
Mm.
no, it's not. I
Yeah.
want to say, like, there is a different path, a bigger picture that you can fit into,
Mm.
right? And I'm not saying coming along to a meeting will fix all your problems, but it's like, going back to my story, I always say this is it was the catalyst for me to get better,
Mm.
100%. I've done a lot of work by myself
Yeah.
with other guys helping me, etc.
Yeah.
But the the meeting was the one thing that started that 100%.
Yeah.
So if they've, it's hard, isn't it? Because if they don't know they've got an issue, they ain't got an
Yeah.
issue, right?
For sure.
So it's like, I was thinking all week, how do you touch on those guys?
I think they'll just hear you. If
Yeah.
they're listening to this,
Yeah.
it will just, something will go in their
Mm.
heads. And that's why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
Just going back to what you were saying about, oh, why would you want me to be on the podcast kind of
Yeah.
thing? Now that we've had the conversation and you've kind of expressed your story,
Mhm.
can you now understand why I wanted you on the podcast?
I feel a
Okay,
bit
good.
better about it, a bit lighter.
Just
Yeah.
making sure that
Yeah.
you do know.
Yeah, like I said before, I didn't want to come across like I 100% feel so privileged to be here
No, of
and to
course,
talk
but I
about
just
it.
would never want you to think like, oh, I've not got anything to say. Like, your story is
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah.
And like you said, like, that just emphasizes what you were just saying, that for you, it's just your story.
Yeah.
But actually, it's a massive story that will help so many people,
Mm.
which you need to remember. You need to remember.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Amazing. Is there anything else, guys, that you would like to share?
I think as a final point, and again, I'm gonna Rob touch on statistics, but something I think like we do call out in our shares, and it's something that's
Oh,
quite worrying actually in one
Mm.
sense, is that we normally have in our shares about, so we want to have a moment silence for the 12 men a day that take their
Mm.
life, but actually when I recently looked, it's actually gone up to 14
Wow.
men a day in the UK. So I think again, like as we said, like if you are feeling a certain way, please come along to the meeting. And we've seen people that have attempted or been close to are completely different people now.
Yeah.
But they could never see that when they were in that position. So
Mm.
even, and again, not even getting to that point, come along to the meeting as soon as you start feeling away, or talk, even if just message one of us on Insta. If you don't want to come along to do it, or WhatsApp or email,
Send a
whatever,
message. Yeah.
whether it
Yeah.
be, it's
Yeah.
like, if you don't feel you can come along to me and just talk to one of us, we're always
We
here
get
to help.
emails, Instagram,
Yeah.
messages, 100%. Yeah.
So can
Definitely.
people join the WhatsApp group without coming to a meeting, or do they have to come to the meeting
yeah.
first and they join the group?
They have to come along to a meeting to join
Yeah.
the WhatsApp group. But as I say, we've got emails and Instagram that they're on the emails are on the website
Yeah.
and our Instagram. We kind of push it out there anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you want to share your Instagrams now so that people
Yeah.
can? I'll put them in the comments as
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
let us know where people can find you guys.
So mine's the Rob Matthews.
The Rob Matthews.
The Rob Matthews.
The
yeah.
Rob Matthews.
You
With
d-
a great story to tell.
Yeah, I created that like 20 years ago.
love
So
it.
yeah,
I love it.
Mine is john.walsh.9809. Generic
9809.
Instagram
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Perfect. I'll put them in the comments. And
But
does
there is the main man
cave?
cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the main man cave again. Can't remember the exact bit off the top of my head, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll share it with you.
Perfect. And they can contact you on any of those.
Yes, on any of those platforms. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure having you on. I feel like we need to get you back for another episode where maybe we talk more about more of the topics that come up in
Yeah,
your
definitely.
community meetings.
Mhm.
So obviously we've touched on your guys' stories today, but I'm sure there's so many other topics we could dive into.
Definitely.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you
Talk
for having
about
us.
You're
talk about
welcome.
men's mental health all day. So
Yeah.
no,
Let's do it.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Done deal. Sorry, I've just looked at the time.
yeah.
111. Guy, are you into angel numbers or is
I know
I
you
was
were
going
gonna
to say,
say,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
That was my last episode as well. Ended on 111. Something's
There you go. Right, we'll end it there. Then, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Thank you so much,
All
guys.
right, cheers.
Amazing.